So, what should we expect, especially from Conor McGregor at today's media session?
I don't know. Obviously, I think that there's going to be, Conor McGregor is the best at mental warfare. I think it begins today.
Yep.
Both guys have pretty much been quiet
Yes.
leading up to today. I think that Conor is going to do what Conor does and start to try to get into Floyd's head.
Mm.
I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth between these two verbally, and I'm there to make sure that nothing happens
Are
physically.
you supposed to referee, so to
Well,
speak?
no. I think the way that this thing is going to play out is, first of all, this isn't going to be your typical UFC. Exactly. This is going to be. There's a lot of egos involved in this. In this event, there's going to be a lot of people talking that probably don't need to talk, and usually I just roll in and say, "Welcome everybody who has the first question," because it's about two guys.
Right.
It's about Conor and it's about Floyd. I think you're going to hear from a lot of people today that you normally wouldn't, probably don't want to, and then we're going to square them off. And I think that Team Mayweather's guys are going to be there, and I'm going to be there with Conor. And between the two of us, we will make sure that they don't touch each other.
When we spoke in New York, you said there was really no chance of this fight happening. And I asked you off camera, I said, "Where's your Super Bowl ring?" Because you said you were going to be the backup to Tom Brady. How did this fight come to be?
Well, as we sat down and started to negotiate, Floyd is actually surrounded by some really smart people, and Al Heyman being one of them. I got in a room 4 times with Al Heyman for a few hours, and we got a deal done. It was a lot easier than I thought it would be, and it moved a lot quicker than I thought it would. So here we are.
Were you surprised by the recent news that Floyd actually needs this fight to pay off the IRS?
Floyd, no, it doesn't surprise me. Floyd spends a lot of money. He's definitely a fan of money. Loves to spend it, and no, I'm not surprised that he needs money.
If you had known he had needed
Yes.
this much, would you have held out a little longer?
I had a feeling he needed the money anyway. This wasn't.
That's why he's fighting.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that I would have done anything differently in negotiations. The negotiations went smooth. I think that everybody involved has a really fair deal, and whether Floyd needs the money or not, good for him. He's going to make it.
What do you expect this? The record is what, 4.4 million buys with the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather fight. What do you expect this fight to do?
I think the Vegas line over under is 4.9 million. I think it's the biggest fight ever. The difference between Manny and Floyd, if you look at Conor is massive in Europe. He's massive in Australia, Brazil. I just think globally this is a much bigger fight than Mayweather-Pacquiao was.
Before we leave the press conference scenario, describe for us the Conor you know. Is there premeditation? Because when I watch him in his showmanship at the media sessions, he just unplugged. Just whatever. Like he doesn't play by the same rules the rest of us do. You had the bottle incident and all. He's just
Right.
going to do whatever comes to his head at that moment.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because I landed at LAX and he landed at the same exact time from Ireland. This kid gets off the flight from Ireland dressed like they just fitted him at Armani, all fired up and basically telling me, I will knock this man out within 4 rounds. And one of the cool things about Conor is Conor doesn't just go out and say stuff to say it. I don't doubt this kid anymore. When we went on the world tour with him and Jose Aldo, he was out there saying, I'm going to knock him out in the first round. I'm knock him out in the first round. I was like, pump the brakes. You're going to go out and put yourself in a position where, you're saying you're going to do this and do that. He knocked him out in 13 seconds. The greatest 145-pounder in UFC history, the only 145-pound champion in UFC history. So I don't doubt him much anymore.
But here's the thing, though. Conor is a great, when you fight MMA, you really need to be good in a lot of different tactics. Striking, submitting, takedown, all that stuff. And Floyd is an all-time great boxer. Now, Conor boxed a little bit, but I would look at it like the equivalent of a decathlete. Good at a lot of different things. Hurdling, jumping, throwing. All of a sudden says, you know what, I want to race Usain Bolt, and I'm going to beat him.
I agree with you, except for the fact that this year, Floyd will be 41 years old. Conor McGregor is 28.
Okay.
And then a fight, one thing and only one thing matters. how hard do you hit? Conor McGregor is a knockout artist. If he hits you, you go. If he hurts you, he will finish you.
But 10-ounce gloves compared to 4-ounce gloves, that's got to be something, Dana. You know that now.
Let me tell you what, it still hurts with 10-ounce gloves on. When you're against a guy who hits as hard as Conor McGregor does, and when Conor gets you in trouble, he finishes you. If he connects with Floyd Mayweather, I guarantee you he will hurt him. And if he hurts him, he will knock him out.
So you're expecting him to be able to hit Floyd when Canelo and all these other guys couldn't.
Yeah, well, if you look, Floyd's going to be 41 this year. He's been inactive for 2 years. At some point, time does catch up with you. Fighting is a young man's game. Conor is young. He's a southpaw, and he hits like a truck.
You hear that?
Oh, you love this.
I loved it.
The best defense.
I'm completely biased, too. Conor's my guy. I mean, at the end of the day.
But
what I'm saying is absolute fact. It is true.
Okay, but Dana, can Conor win if it goes to the judges?
No.
No way.
I don't think he ends up winning a decision. But let me tell you this. Manny Pacquiao just got beat by a school
did.
teacher. So anything is possible.
And by the way, can I bring this up, please?
Yeah.
Because we sparred about this. I'm a Manny Pacquiao fan.
Me too.
But as soon as that fight ended, I turned to my wife. I told you, and I tweeted this. I was fearful he was going to lose because it felt close to me, because the kid from Australia had pressed the issue all night long, and he was bigger and longer and stronger, and he basically just bullied Manny, and Manny's starting to show some age, right? And so it goes to the judges. Now they have rejudged it. They had 5 judges from around the world look at the tape. 3 said Jeff Horn flat out won the fight. 1 said Pacquiao did. This is on appeal from the Filipino organization.
Right.
And 1 said it was a draw. So my point is, those judges judged what I thought was fair and square, because the aggressor should win the round, and Jeff Horn more often than not was the aggressor. It was a very close call, but my point in this is, who's going to be the aggressor in this fight? Is there any doubt about it?
Right.
But if Conor is the aggressor and Floyd tries to duck and run for 12 rounds, which he is highly capable of doing, greatest defensive fighter ever, even at 40, going on 41. But if it goes to the judges, would you guess that the boxing judges would sort of protect their turf and not award a decision to the MMA fighter?
It's a great question. But in Vegas, what we're pushing for is for, a couple of the judges to be guys who have judged both.
Really?
So they're familiar with.
So that's not decided yet?
No, but that's what
that's a big deal to me.
That's what the plan is, yeah. And I think it's the fair thing to do. You
Oh.
can have a boxing judge, just a pure boxing judge, and then a couple of guys who are familiar with both MMA and boxing.
Are there
Because
enough
there
of
are
those
guys.
out there?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there are. And I don't know if you saw Bayless came out absolutely negative about the
My
fight,
uncle,
which is a
yeah.
beautiful thing,
Right.
because we didn't want Bayless in there.
Kenny
anyway.
Bayless?
Yeah, Kenny. He's my man.
But let me ask you, do you think Jeff Horn beat Pacquiao? Because it's hard for me to see a guy that almost landed 2 to 1 more punches, landed 90 more power shots, and lose a fight.
So I thought Pacquiao won the fight. So at the end of the fight, because I went, oh my God, Pacquiao lost the fight. I thought Pacquiao won. I thought it was, like you said, Horn pressed the action and it was in his face all night, but Pacquiao won that fight.
Yeah.
At the end of the fight, the first thing I said is the dumbest matchmaking in the history of, but this is what boxing does.
Right.
Especially Bob Arum. He's a moron. So
What
he deserves what he gets.
Yeah. You have had your issues with Mr. Arum
Oh,
before,
yeah, I'm a big
yes?
fan of his.
Yeah.
What you do is you put your guy against the best. You could put him against another aging great. At least if he loses, he doesn't lose to a guy that nobody's ever heard of.
Nobody's ever heard of him.
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, Conor wins this fight. How do you get him to come back and fight in the UFC after making 100+ meals?
Well, yeah, if Conor wins this fight, oh my God! I mean, it's probably the biggest upset in sports history. Conor will be the biggest athlete on the planet. And listen, I've worked with guys for many years who were young guys. They made a bunch of money and they never worked again. So you never know. In the fight game, Conor McGregor, I call him a unicorn. He's a very unique fighter and individual. He tells me, win, lose, or draw, he will fight again this year in mixed martial arts. He will defend his title. But you never know till it happens. When you start cashing those big checks,
So you told
we'll
us
see.
what Conor thinks. He can knock him out in 4 rounds. What does Dana White think? Gut feeling at this moment.
Yeah, listen. In all honesty, bias aside, I stopped doubting this kid a long time ago. This kid believes in himself. He does hit hard. He's got 12 rounds to catch Floyd Mayweather with something big. So I believe that he can do it.